We bless you at the highest place, for you are the great high priest. We bless you. I am above all else, above all else, as we come to you.
Greetings from the Small Ruminant Association by Brother Bernard.
Yes, Brother Bernard.
Yes.
Morning. So it looked like I named Brother Bernard. So, Brother Bernard here. So I am the president of the Small Ruminants Association of Jamaica. And I tell you, I came here, I don't remember Mark, I came here a couple months ago when things just started off the ground. And Mark is a very passionate person. We look at things from time to time and some very deep conversations. And when I come here today and see what everybody here have accomplished, it's very, very heartwarming to see what is happening here. I came here back then with my children at the time and my wife, and we had some time there with the ladies, a lot of ladies here, and this community effort is so strong. The involvement, when you're talking to Mark, the whole entire community from far and wide is involved with this goat rearing project. One of the things is that goat rearing and sheep rearing, we don't want to leave out the sheep, and we're going to talk about the rabbit also. Also a very big part of the Small Ruminants Association, goat and the sheep and so forth. Now, one of the things that is very important for people to understand about the goat, the sheep and the rabbit is that they eat forages. They can eat the tree and the grass and all of these things. So if tomorrow morning in this pandemic we can't get any more corn, or we can't get any more, can you imagine what would happen to the chicken industry? This industry is a vibrant industry, and it has so much potential. Goat meat on average $400 a pound live weight. We don't have females. Where can you get female goats to buy in Jamaica? I get phone calls all over every day. It is just not available like that. I had somebody call me in Montego Bay, I would like 100 sheep. Where can I get 100 sheep to buy? I don't even know where one. Anybody here know where you can get 100 goat to buy now? Nobody don't know. 100 sheep, it don't exist. Because since COVID and since a lot of work that the Small Ruminants Association along with all our partners, Hypro and so forth, we have been marketing and pushing and making the farmers so much more aware of the monies that can be made out of farming and goat farming and the animal rearing in general. You have situations of a lot of young youths all over the place which we are trying to embrace and trying to get them involved. And we are showing them new ways of doing things. I went and I saw the lovely goat house they have up there. Intensive farming, taking better care. The nutrition, which is so important. Parasites, internal and external parasites, and what affects the animal. The most important, maybe 70 to 80% of goat rearing or animal rearing has to do with management. You have to have good management practices. So when an event like this takes place, which the Small Ruminants Association over the years have put on many events like this all over, you have to pay attention because they have a wealth of information to give you. And some farmers over the years, they record it because there is so much to learn. And they record the information and play it over and over, and sometimes they call me back and say, boy, I hear Khalil say, use this word. What do you mean by that? Because Khalil is schooled and he's very technical in his approach. And they want some breakdown and some explanation. So we are all here. You can call any one of us to explain. Our numbers are there. I have a YouTube channel now, Trevor Bernard, that we go around and we do training and we try and bring across different ideas and so forth and show the farmers what you can do. how you can rear these animals better, how you can care for them. No longer are the days when you just let go the goat, run up and down and come in back. Them go and thief them, them get sick, all kind of things happen. So I want the young people especially to get involved and learn about this goat rearing, because it has huge potential for the future. A lot of big guys are now going into goat rearing. When you look, you see some big farms springing up all over the place and doing goat rearing. I want all of you to be a part of it, and we can grow together. And you see, on the vet, our vet, Dr. McHugh, is going to be here today. And this part is very important. Mr. Brown is one of the best there is. You know, he's my friend, and he's one of the best on this whole nutrition thing. And Doc is very knowledgeable on it. It is important that you understand about the parasites and the internal, the external parts, and goat health. Very important. All a part of the management of rearing goats. You know, I would like Dr. McHugh also, I get a lot of calls about how do you actually treat the goat. Like the injection. You call it subcutaneous and muscular. It's actually how you apply and how you give the animal the injection, and you know how you treat it. And this is very important that all of us learn all these things, because you have to be doctor, nutritionist, you know, farmer, health, everything, just like rearing a child. So thank you for having me.
We are very blessed to have you today.
Thank you.
Yes. And just a word, I didn't mention before, the team from April. We are very blessed to have them today likewise. And the team from RADA, we are very blessed to have them at the training today. But there's 2 points of interest that I have right now. I'm just asking you to remain some distance from each other according to protocol. Without any further ado, time is against us. So we have no other than the great Khalil, the nutritionist. The person that Mr. Bernard just talked about. Very school, highly trained. Khalil, welcome to this one.
Hi, morning everybody. Morning everybody. I can say I'm really happy to be here. It's great to see so many faces, great to see so many women in one place. It's great to see so many farmers or producers, and we are trying. Especially in this COVID time, we have to try. Every little thing now we have to try make a little money out of. So Mr. Bernard alluded to that small ruminants is probably next best livestock thing going forward. Chicken, the other day, we can't blame the feed companies, but you see how the chicken was very unstable the other day. COVID threw off everybody. We can't get chicken, we can't get feed. It's a problem. This is why Mr. Bernard said small ruminant to him might be the probably most stable one. Why? Because they feed off of what we can find around us. We now have to run come to me all the time and say, "Khalil, sell me a bag of feed," which is sad, but we still have other things to sell you.
It's good, it's good.
So let me talk about now small ruminants, and we're going. My topic today is nutrition. I'm a nutritionist with Hypro, generally an animal scientist, so I kind of have the best of both worlds. But nutrition is probably the most important thing. Who can tell me why nutrition is the most important thing? Anybody? Why is nutrition the most important thing for livestock farmers? Sorry? Health over wealth. You know what I'm saying a while ago? I like that. So from you have the nutrition up, the animals will remain healthy. Just like us. If you get up one morning and don't drink a cup of tea or don't drink some banana and go to work, you might end up feeling weak. It's the same thing for animals. We want to make them right. So let me go into our presentation. Alright. These are factors affecting small ruminant industry. We as farmers, what we face when we're out here until we start goat rearing. One of the first things that we work outside of the government regulatory framework. When I was talking examples, like persons now might just kill animals and eat a tree, which is wrong. So that means we're working outside the government regulatory framework. So it's easy for a man come thief a goat, you know. You know why? Because we do have a system where the animals have to go to a slaughterhouse and the public health check them, and we have an ID system for them. So that is one issue we face. Then genetics. Mr. Bernard said, where we can get 100 females to buy from? Where? Nowhere. So we need to find this, and how we can solve this problem is unless you as a group, yes, you already have formed yourself into a group, but also to join with the association. The association have more numbers. You can go now to the ministry, you go to Young Flag and say, Mr. Green, I have 1,000 farmers now that want to change this industry, and we need to import some goats to boost what we need. We want 10,000 breeding females. It only can work unless you farmers come collectively as a group and start lobbying through the association to the ministry. So think about that. Nutrition, my favorite topic. So I'm not going to talk too much because we're going to go into this. Husbandry, we're going to do a little practical session later, how you take care of the animals. And this is a little bit more complex. You might want to go into dairy, and then biosecurity, how is that we protect our farm. So I did a survey, right? Similar farmers like you guys, and I said, hey, give me some feedback on what's that you're facing out there in the field, so how we can move forward. So the first thing I asked was, how long we're in sheep and goat rearing? Let me ask you that. How many persons here raising goats under 5 years? Under 5 years. Who over 5 years? Alright, so what about when I see you guys, when you guys start raising? They just start, so it's a new entrant. Alright, so if you look here, the blue talks about persons who's getting into goat rearing. So we see a lot of persons now getting into goat rearing. This is Papa here, we're in it for probably over 5 years. But we have new persons getting, which is a good thing, good signal for us. Alright, so we ask them how much land them have, because that's a big problem we face. How many persons here have over 1 acre land to rear them goats on? Have over 1 acre? Who have over 5 acre? Who have no acre? Alright, see there? And this again tell us, majority of the persons here have less than 1 acre. To basically, how are we going to do this? How are we going to accomplish this without land? Alright, then we face. So I ask them how you feed them. Since you're not on land, how you feed them? Both persons said both. Me and them have pastures and them do cut and carry. So all who have land for the cut and carry, right? You have to cut in the grass and carry. That's how we face. Then we ask them about ingredients. So how do we have to go in this? This kind of proved to me that we have an energy deficiency, and farmers have to look for high energy ingredients like molasses, the purple one, the mineral salts which you get from the hyper store, commercial concentrate, so we can see what the farmers out there are selecting. And then we talk about hay. Who know about hay? Whoever you see on them farm. Alright. You don't know about it. But some farmers like who on the land, this is how we have to traffic or grass sometime. This is a taxi man out in Old Harbour. Him run taxi in the evening, him stop by when I used to work at Bodles and pick up him here and drive go drop off him here on the farm. So this is some of the stuff that farmers out there facing. So the future changing, and under Hypro we're pushing to more intensive system. The group requested a quotation for the TMR, but this is what we expect farmers to eventually go to. This is you making your own feed. So as a group, you just want one person with this machine in the group and he can make all the feeds for everybody here. Versus pasture system, which we don't have because we don't have any land. So when we talk about a balanced diet, and it's similar for us. No. So here we talk about its stage of production. When you think about feeding the animals, what you think about the stage of production. At 33, you know I'm in my prime. So that means I need the best meals. I need my yam, I need my dumpling, I need my little chicken, I need my little curry goat, I need my vegetables, I need my little minerals and vitamins to keep my body up, because me in my prime, all the girls they want me down now. So I'm doing the best work possible, right miss? Alright. Papa know when I'm 70. Film prime done. He prime done yet. He prime done, he's still gone. Alright. Clearly Papa been following the best feeding program. Why is that at 70 him still in a film prime? But his diet's a little bit different from my own. He have a little bit more troubles now with how his body react. So probably less sugar for him, less soda. He can drink soda and get it. Our young guy now, 16 coming up, 17 coming up. His demand is high. He can run around this community 5 times, so you need way more food than how you need to feed me. So remember that. So think about it. When you need a gold penny, you see a kid, the kid need a different type of diet. When you see the mature female, she need a different diet. When you see that big male who's servicing the farm, he need a proper diet. So remember that. Stage of production. Environmental adjustment. Persons here, you have a nice shaded place, you know, not too hot, probably a little bit humid. But a person in Clarendon, On the hot plains of Clarendon, we have sun right throughout. It's totally different than how you feed the animal. So you have to think about that. How you adjust your feeding program based on the environment. If the animal under a lot more stress, you're going to need more feed. If you're a little bit more comfortable, you get a chance to play with. So remember that. Animal size and breed. You want to go back again now? Come, Mr. Witter. You have something we call body condition score. We'll go down to the practical session later, I'll show you. When you look at the animal body, and you feel him body, and you cannot tell. So like if I lift up my shirt, you might see 3 of my rib there. I show. If him lift up his shirt, you're not going to see that no rib. So what that mean? Who need more feed? Me or him?
The
rib one. Right? So that's what I want you guys looking. So if me at this maga looking thing, I need a little bit more bag feed or a little bit more grass compared to him who's in that perfect body condition. And see your body condition score afterwards. So we'll talk about the nutrients earlier. About your protein, your minerals and so. Let's just talk about energy. And I bring up energy because a lot of persons don't talk about it. And I'm not going to trick you. People out there saying, hey, the bag feed have more protein. That's false case. Protein works from monogastric animals. Monogastric meaning they have one stomach. And one stomach is like a chicken and a pig. So they need protein way more than anything else.
Rabbit.
And the rabbit. But the rabbit is what you call a pseudo-ruminant. He has a developed hindgut that allows him to ferment fiber. So I'm not going to put him in the monogastric catalog. He's a pseudo-ruminant. To me, he's still a ruminant. But for ruminants, protein is not the main issue that we face. Energy. Where you get the energy from? It's from your grass. So the quality of your grass is what will determine how your animal will perform. When you put that protein on now, then you'll see that change. So think about it, guys, energy. Quality grass for energy, and you have energy ingredients like your molasses. Who know beer hops? Beer hops is an energy source, not a protein source. Who know wheat middling? Wheat middling is an energy source, not a protein source. So I want you guys to remember that. Energy, that's the first limiting nutrient. If I don't, one of the reasons why I'm not putting a lot of weight is because I'm not meeting my energy demand. My metabolism is too high, meaning my body breaks down food so fast. So if I don't have enough energy, I won't put on an ounce of weight. Once I meet that demand, then you start put on weight. Remember that. The energy thing also it's different based on the breed. The native goat, the Boer goat, and the dairy breed. The native goat require less. The Boer goat more. The dairy breeds way more than the Boer goat. So I want you guys to remember that. If you have different breeds on your herd, the energy requirement will also be different. Fiber are separated from energy because I want you guys to understand a little bit more. Ruminants eat grass and they take the fiber from the grass. They don't eat bag feed, they eat grass. So I'm trying to make you know that we have to have the diet content over 50%. I go to some farms sometimes and them treat the animals them like it's a beef cattle. They just chow grains on the animal. Animal end up with bloat and him drop down dead and him say, Khalil, the animal dead. And me I say, no, where you feed the animal? We just chow bag feed give him. No, that's not how it works. And the first thing I want to show your animals in the morning, good quality grass in it, please. You can't wait to give them the hyper feed later. But fiber, the most important thing. Then we go to protein now. And this is where we have a large debate. Did you know that the animals just really need 7% crude protein to survive? Just merely 7%. So what that mean? That means that's why the animals them can eat the grass alone and survive. Because the grass, most of our local forages, is around 7% in crude protein. Select that based on how you want to feed. You also have what we call leguminous plants. I think it's a bird I'll talk about it. You have a lot of them here. The lucina, the donkey, what you call it? You know the one with the red flower on the top of it? Donkey, whatever you want to call it. Bread nut. High in protein. So you can actually use that also as a supplement. Then quick stick. All that is high in protein you can add to your protein diet.
Mulberry.
Alright, your vitamins. For your ruminants, what is important is your fat soluble vitamins. So your A, D, E, and K. You guys can remember that? I remember it in school, you used to learn it as ADEC. A, D, E, and K. So if you guys buying vitamins, you can get that from the hyper store also. Focus on these vitamins. The rest, goats can produce it for themselves, and that's the benefit of having goats. Your minerals, your calcium and your phosphorus, your zinc, your cobalt, your selenium. This one is very important. It's important for reproduction. So for animals that you want to get pregnant, or for a meal that you want to basically serve, ensure that you have selenium shots. You can actually get injected the selenium from vitamin E and selenium. I'd always recommend that before the breeding season, you would inject that into the animal. If you plan to do artificial insemination, we add that to the protocol. But for your minerals, it comes in your back feed, it comes from your grass, and we also have a mineral, a free choice minerals you can buy. Things like $3,400 for it. 25 kg, you can put that and they would feed it. Or the block, you guys know the block? Like a salt block. They have different types. You have the salt block that is white, which is just straight sodium chloride. And then you have the brown one, which is mineral trace block. That comes with everything. I would say try to get the fully trace block, because it has all of these ingredients inside of it than just the salt block.
Can you get that at Hypro?
Yes, you can. You can get the block and the free choice at Hypro. And your farm store down the road might have it. Alright, so I'm not going to keep you long, So we're just going to go through it quick, but I want you to identify the nutritional stages. Remember, we were talking about the different production stages earlier. Let us remember it, like lamb and kids, yearling. Who know what yearling mean? 1 year, just as it sounds. Adult male, adult female. That is how we're going to break down our farm. We'll go down there later. We're going to go in there and say, yes, the kids here, so the yearlings here, adult male, adult female, and we have a feeding program for all of these different stages. You now work with me, right? But I'm not going to go into everybody, but I'm going to talk about the most important one. What's the most important one? Yeah, your kids and lamb. Why do you think it's important for me? And let me ask you, why is feeding these kids and your lambs the most important part of your production?
That's where your profit is.
See, you know the business, man. That is where your profit is. If your mortality low, you have more kids to put out into the market. So how are we going to make them survive? The first thing I want you guys to do is remember this. Within the first 12 hours, as the kid drop, within that first 12 hours, what you must do, ensure them get the first milk from the mother. And a lot of persons see the first milk and say, no, Mr. Brown, it don't look like milk, it look yellow and thick and it look pussy or it look something. I'm saying, hello, that's what the animal need. A matter of fact, if say you have an incident and you can't get there, try to get somebody to milk out that colostrum out of the milk, out of the udder. And you can store it. You can put it on the freezer and seal it for the next one. But in this colostrum is where you have all the antibodies that allow the kid to survive. You don't have an immunity yet, and this helping to build, I think is what you call passive immunity. I think the vet will probably tell you about it, I don't know if that's the right one. So remember, colostrum in the first 12 hours. And we should have milk. And if the mother not producing milk, you can buy a milk replacer. Hyper will sell spray foam that you can use and replace the milk just in case. But I want you guys to ensure that you get the first milk in the first 12 hours and then you help clean them up. Then creep feeding. This was not readily practiced in Jamaica, but now that I've been going to a lot of new farms, more commercial setup, you start seeing them practicing creep feeding. Who know what creep feeding is? Tell me about creep feeding.
Creep feeding is a new way of getting the younger one fed from a basket that the adult both them don't get access to
The feed.
to where the box where the younger one is. Right.
Yes.
So
Alright, who raise pigs? Anybody else raise pigs? We don't want no more from the top tier here. Anybody else raise pigs? Round the back. No pig farmer. Alright. For the pig farmers, you guys are creep feeding, right? You separate them from the mother, you throw a little feed on the side for the kids to get access to. So that's the similar principle we're doing now for small ruminants. And why? In that first month and a half, the kid really don't turn into a ruminant yet. That is why they're on a milk diet. They still have an underdeveloped rumen, so that animal now can take milk and actually can take even protein like how you feed a chicken, but doesn't last for long. By 4 weeks, when you start with them start eating grass, in body condition change. So during this 4 weeks, you want to give that animal access to grain and even access to grass, so you can start picking on it better. What this leads to is an increase in the rumen development. And once you have that, the animal starts a little bit faster. So, and also by when you start to shift that animal from that milk diet to the grass diet, you start having, like diarrhea. When you start to give them this creeper feed, it reduces that problem. So the transition is a little bit better. So farmers, please, as the animal reach week 2, I would advise you, start teasing with a little grains, start teasing with a little grass. You want them to pick up that, you want them to start developing that rumen quicker. You see the weight gains. If you don't believe me, try it for yourself. Split your herd, even just use 2 animals. 4 in total. 2 without creep feed, 2 on creep feed, and look at the body weights and the growth rate and tell me if you don't see a difference. But this is what is really changing the game now, because we want by say about month 4, month 5, the animal is about 80 pounds. You can make a money off of that. If you have the animal weighing 80 pounds by 8 months, you lose. You have to feed that animals for those additional days. The creep feed can allow you to push up that weight gain. Mark my word. Try it. Alright, the curve. How you understand the growth curve? This is how the animal grow. And there's 2 different. Which one would you want, top or the bottom? Why you think the top one? Why you think that farmer have that faster growth compared to the other farmer? Nutrition, yeah, but what with nutrition? The whole we know about nutrition. But what could I make my animals them go a little bit faster than yours?
Management.
Feed them better, yes.
The management.
That's simply it. The only reason my animals them grow better than yours is because I know to feed them better. And that's what I want you guys to understand and compare yourself to. Look at other farmers. I don't mean get bad mind or envious. I mean compare yourself to somebody. Like for example, what we do, we look at statistics from overseas. How is it that the boar goat in America compared to the boar goat in Jamaica? How is it that the goat in Australia compared to ours? And we use those parameters to say, hey, guess what? They are reaching 100 pounds in 5 months. We don't reach 100 pounds until a year. What's the difference between that? So that's what I want you guys to start looking into. Compare yourself to the top tier here, because to me, I have a good understanding already. Just by the top, I can say that I have an understanding of what is going on. Look at his growth rate compared to yours and see what you're not doing right. If not, you call me and I'll fix it for you. So, the big system that going forward now is either total mixed rations or intensive pasture systems. And I'm not going to bash the old method because it's a low cost of production. It's very compatible. Your feed costs a little bit lower, but the disadvantage of the pasture system is that we have slow growth. We have less control over the diet. And some of our forages, if we don't manage them properly, we won't get the best out, we won't get the best nutrients out of it. We do have an understanding of how is it that we actually utilize this grass. Alright. I see you guys have a lot of guinea grass and king grass out there. Who knows when is the best time to harvest the king grass or the guinea grass to feed your goats? Alright guys, did you people know that? They just cut grass. Oh no, time it. Just belly full. You know, look into that, and that is where we lose out. Because like for example in some countries, they're not going to cut that king grass until it's 6 weeks old. They don't cut it 5 weeks old, they don't cut it 7 weeks old. 6 weeks. You know why? That's the best time for you to harvest it. That's the best nutritive value, that's the best time it is digestible. And as farmers, we have to start thinking about it like that, or we're going to be losing money. Or you're going to make me make a lot of money. Because we have to constantly using concentrate feed for top up what you need. And that's also the truth. So if you guys get a better understanding of what you guys have around you to utilize, it make your life a little bit easier.
Khalil, the seeding. When the grass starts to seed.
Alright, when the grass starts to seed, that means it gone back, in all fairness. But we have to look at it also with time. During this time now, grasses don't really grow. That short daylight stop grass growth. It's kind of dormant. So most of the grasses now, you see them seeding. I have the one of them called the Christmas grass come up with the little four thing at the little, that four little thing at the top. That grass going to grow a lot right now because it's the time for it to grow short daylight. But most grasses now, they're kind of dormant. That is why we talk about fodder conservation and so also. But intensive versus total mixed ration, that's where we are now in the sector playing. Why is it that we say about the total mixed ration way and the partial mixed ration way is that for us to be sustainable, for us to get the fast growth rate and the milk yields, we have to use this type of system because we've seen where it works. We have had farmers using the traditional partial system compared to using the total mixed ration system.
What is a total mixed ration?
Good question. I was waiting for somebody to ask me that question. Total mixed ration is when I give your animal a complete diet on one plate. So just like Christmas the other day when wifey carry everything in one plate for us, that is what we're doing to animals. We're not separating the feed anymore. So you won't come into my pen and you see grains over here, grass over here, or the animals that run out of pastures. When you come, you see one complete mixed meal on the farmer's plate, on the animal's plate. That's what is working right now. So doing your own mixed feed here is also something that I think we have to come back and come to train. You guys can't probably get the machine for now, but we can use normal shovel hand mix and still make a proper mix. So that's the difference we're going now. Cut grass into a mix or make the animals run out there and select what they want. We also see heat stress.
Khalil, one of the things I want is with the total mixed ration. Because I guess when I hear about it the first time, it sounds very complicated for me because I never so smart at the time. But it is really like when you mix the grass and certain forages like mulberry and these plant material and sometimes you even the feed in there. You mix up all of these and then sometimes they add the vitamins and you mix all of them. You don't just cut grass alone and give them because you really don't have everything. It's when you mix the forages with different things, leafy material and maybe some feed and different things, and the energy. Sometimes you put molasses on it and different things, and you mix it and give to the animal.
You guys understand that?
In a simpler way, that's what it is.
You anybody ever do that yet here?
And you use a shovel and mix it up.
How about for your pigs? Do it for your pigs. So, and do it for your goats sometimes. So that is where we're pushing farmers. To it better. I can tell you, and it even costs less when you think about it. Because what we do is that we tell you which ingredient to use in what quantity. You don't waste your feed. So, when we talk about the future of ruminants, I expect that probably by next year or so when I come back, we can start looking at this. For as a nutritionist, I would have to go in and I have to test your feed. That's what I normally do. I go around the island sometimes and I will go to different commercial farms. I will collect samples for what they feed and I will test it and see how is it compared to what I want, because I will kind of create the ration for them. So it's an example of one. And as we see here, when I send this go overseas for testing, they will give me like the crude protein. So I can tell you, say, hey, your grass or the diet that you have is 13% crude protein. And there's so much other things that I have to look into to kind of see if this mix is the correct mix. When we reach here as small ruminant farmers, we know the industry is changing because this really is applying now to dairy farmers, and that's what makes my job a little bit more difficult, because I want all of us to be at this level where when I come to the Williamsfield group, I testing your grasses, I testing your ingredients, and I developing a ration for you. But this is where we're heading to. Just remember this, at your company, anybody you're working with, nutritionists or a feed company, they should provide you with some empirical data on what's that you're feeding the animals. And we talk about the best machine, for fodder. Who up here have a shafting machine? You have a shafting machine? One shafting machine on the block? Nobody else? You're working on yours? Alright? That means I don't need to go through the rest, because to me, the basic is a shafting machine. Especially with the grass that I see you guys have here. That's a sugar cane, king grass, guinea grass. The shafting machine will help you to cut it up. You guys what I'm talking when I talk about a shafting machine, right?
group definitely has one coming.
The group have one coming.
Yeah.
Yes, please get one for the group, because to feed that pen that you have, you need the shafting machine, especially for the feeding troughs that you guys build. It is designed for that type of system. It can't be just any tall bush of grass you throw inside of it. And I kind of see that when I went down there, that you had a lot of the guinea grass stalks in the trough. You know, with the shafting machine, that will be clean. So it make you not waste the grass also. So invest in a shafting machine. The group need one. But there's other machines. The TMR will get there soon. Harvesters that will go against the grass for you in the field, so you're not in a mushy days. And we have a silo packer, which I think we should push for a training like that one day with Dearborn, like you see how we make silage. So
What is silage?
alright, good question. Silage is a method of conserving grass. We talked about hay earlier, right? Hay, grass in the sun, we dry it, we come pack it. Silage is more using the normal fresh green grass, cut it up, put it in a drum or a bag, and we'll close it airtight. I add molasses to it, and it can preserve the grass up to like 2-3 years. So there's different methods of it. We'll go through a little of that. But this is where the industry is going now, and I think you guys built a very similar looking pen. We say it's either intensive or semi-intensive. Semi-intensive is the farmer who don't use the food, just not feeding inside wholly. Allow the area, saw the animals outside and they went back inside for more feed. So you guys are in a semi-intensive system now. An intensive system is when the animals is locked into that house the whole time and we carry feed to them at all times. Both works. Both have advantages and both have disadvantages. For example, the semi-intensive system highly likely give you some worm problems because the animals still have to go out there and harvest for themselves. You'll pick up more worms compared to the guy who will lock in them animals. You might even have a little bit more hoof problems when you're doing, especially in the rainy time. Semi-intensive out here in the muddy ground, you have more hoof problems. So this kind of determine why your management. For feeders, these are what I recommend to farmers. And you have feeders for different situations. You have feeders for your grain, feeders for your minerals, feeders for your grass. But this is for more like outside. You guys are more here, right? And we have to look into the trough spacing and the trough depth. That's important. If you have a table of 5 persons and you only carry out 4 plates, somebody get left. So that's the key. So we want to ensure that the feeding trough space is right. So if you have 10 animals in a pen, they 10 can eat properly. Less fighting, or even sometimes the design. Me and Mr. Bernard went to a guy farm, I remember, out in St.Catherine. And what the guy did, he put a feeding trough on the left side and one on the right side. And him say, hey, for him do that, no fighting. Because the animals have to turn them back. So nobody is seeing the guy behind him. He don't really care anymore. So that is the type of design that we have to start looking what works best for us to make sure the animals eat properly. Husbandry practices Dr. McHugh soon be here.
Nubian needs, and the milking line, they need even more feeding than anything else. So that's why the native goat is a good thing to have. It matter to the feed that you have available. So don't bash the native. In some feeding programs and in some kind of systems, the native is actually better in certain kind of conditions because these boars need a lot of good feeding to eat. You have to feed them with high nutrition and good feeding, while a native can live on poorer forages and so forth. And the sheep, they are so aggressive eaters and they grow 2 times faster than goat and they do everything quicker. And that is one of the reasons why sheep really is the best animal for meat production. And really and truly, a lot of people don't realize that mutton is sheep meat, chevron is goat meat, and all of this curry goat thing we eating all over the place is really curry mutton.
Old sheep.
Old sheep is old animals we eating and calling it, curry goat and all those kind of things.
Sheep like meat.
And you understand? So this is it. And the reason for it is because sheep put on so much weight, grow so fast. So that's why your production statistics is better in terms of meat. And goat is really milk. Because in Europe, goat is used for milk, not for meat. Nobody don't really eat goat in Europe. It's sheep them eat.
Alright, the question is that a lot of information gone out, right? And so like my former friend here can understand all of that. But we are new people, we are just starting. What should we do? Or what we can? I decided to go and buy a one boat right now. What do I do? Give me a starting.
Alright, lovely. And I think what Mr. Bernard was saying earlier, I think I was going to say, let's talk about that. Because before, since we're all new entrants, the first thing we have to talk about is growth as a business. How is it that we can turn this into a commercial enterprise? And that's what you say. What we should do. So selection is important to talk about breeds. Let me talk about the breeds.
What is best? Goat or a sheep?
Alright, that depends on what you want to do. And that it come down to a mindset. If your market is your community, right? So you plan to sell in the Linstead community. Jamaicans are traditional goat people. Traditionally eat goat. We might not know say I'm not where I eat sheep, but traditionally are goat persons. So I say farmers, if your plan is to target your local community, go into goat. But if you're thinking bigger, and you're thinking that I want to eventually run a meat operation where I want to probably sell a restaurant uptown, or I want to sell a hotel,
Or live animals.
You start thinking about sheep. That's just the reality. It's where you are.
The demands. I was just telling the group down there earlier on. I got a call about 3-4 weeks ago. And they called me and say, I need 100 sheep. Can you tell me where I can locate 100? I need 100 sheep to buy. Where you get that to buy? It's not available.
Yeah.
Where you get 100 goat to buy? It's not available.
It's not available. We have a big problem.
Big problem.
with
There
access
is such
right now.
a shortage of goat and sheep breeding stock.
And it come down to again breed. So even if you say you buy a goat, what breed you going to buy? Most farmers now running down the exotic animals, the newborn and the boar. I can't tell a young farmer to start with those animals. Take a whole lot of care.
Start with the native.
Start with the native.
Grow
Start with the native. The native in tough and they run up and down and give you no problem.
Yeah.
And you learn the management from that. You learn how to take care of
And
kid.
then you can step up to
Then
what
you step
like.
up your pace. So
You
in a
can't go and
case,
start milk, for example. You can't just jump and say I'm going to start a goat thing and I start with milk. It's complicated.
yeah, it is. It is a learning process for all of us.
So-
Big learning process.
So, okay, the goat I should buy is the one that produce meat.
Just common goat. As in common.
Yes, start with the common.
What is, you know, common goat?
The little common one you see, the little
Yeah.
small one that don't grow very big.
The benefit of that one for you is that it's less management on you.
Yes.
As in you do have to be really thinking, you know, how I'm going to feed and all that type of stuff. And at the same time, it is an animal that still can give you a lot of offsprings. Yeah, so we call it the prolific.
Prolific,
So you give you 2-3 drop compared to the boar might just give you 1 or 2. So you still can make up back for your money through the amount of animals
Because
that
of
you
the
get out of
breeding.
it. Because of the breeding.
Yeah. They also breed quicker too.
And it's just in your pocket because with a boar goat, this dewormer is something you have to use
Yeah, man.
pretty often.
Yeah.
For your native goat, you might not have to use it none time.
The native goat has adapted
Adapted to the
to the
conditions.
conditions of Jamaica.
So it's cheaper if you start with that. That's what I'm saying.
So they are
less money.
tougher.
This
They
is
resist parasites, they
14,000.
resist internal and external parasites, they just survive out there.
Alright, so I want to go further. I want to go into commercial thing. I want to go into commercial thing. I have $100,000 and I want to invest that in animals. I want to.
But I get what you're saying now.
I'm not getting-
You want to go commercial.
Yeah, but I want.
The first thing you must do if you want to go commercial is think about your housing. So what you guys do down there is great. You have to have a house. We stop raise goat per roadside. So set up your housing, even if it don't have to be elaborate like that. Even if it's a roof like what we're under right now, provide some level of shade for them. If you think about in a case, what breed I can put in this? Can I put the expensive boar goat and survive here? So again, we're going to go back to the native animals, put in your housing, the native animals, and you start thinking about your feed. Where you get feed from? You have access to land to grow your grass. Or you have to buy grass. Or you have a little van where you can go and cut and carry. So those are the first things you want. You need a mentor. So Mr. Bernard, myself, Mr. Witter from RADA, who know about goat rearing, use them as your guide. And I also say, get a farmer too as a mentor. A lead farmer. Who him, you see that him doing something on his farm and ask him, what did it take for you to reach there? So make a go again about how we start out as a business. Your housing, can you protect the animal them from the 2-foot thief them and from the environment?
And the 4-foot thief.
And the 4-foot thief. Can you feed the animals them? Do you have adequate grass to feed them? What type of breed am I going to put in this? Am I going for meat? Am I going for milk? Am I going for breeding? Because there's 3 different type of goat, small ruminant farmers, you know. You have the elite. Let me show you an elite breeder. This is Mr. Bartley. Who know Mr. Bartley from Unity Boer Goat Farm? He is what you would call a breeder. His main thing here is not only just for meat, but his thing is to ensure that his genetic and breeding program comes together. This is a total different operation.
Show goat operation.
This is a show goat operation. Right. This is the guys who carry them to Demby, show the goat them, which is all part. If you go to America, this is one of the biggest thing in America. It's about eating goat. In America is show goat business. Genetics, semen and embryos, what they sell. Then you have the guy who immunized for the meat. He might use some of Mr. Bartley goats because they are bigger, but they're too expensive to maintain. So guess what him do? Him use one of Mr. Bartley male and him cross it with one of his native. And him get half and half. So him get a hybrid animal. The animal have the resistance of the native animal, and him have that big body structure of the Boer goat. So him create his meat type goat. Then you have the guy who say him want milk. And the milk guy, what I'm going to do? Him look for the milk breeds. Who know milk breeds? Nubian or one? Who know anybody else know anymore?
Alpine.
Alpine.
Tagging bird.
Tagging bird. Give me one more. Here's one more. We come Jamaica now where we do with AI and Sarning. So those are your dairy breeds. And make we go as a business again. See how all them can work here on a farm. The Boer goat, be a big body, more meat, more muscle. So it make it look like Wita. The Nubian, lean like me, but I produce a lot of milk. So I can make your kids them grow fast. The native, small and tiny, strong and hardy. In pass that on, so it costs less on your pocket, less deworming, less disease and pestilence because him can withstand less heat stress because him know the flooding, him know where to go hide. That is how all these different genetics play a role in you developing your business. So you have to understand which one you want to kind of work with. Most persons know them doing what you call the graded operation. So it's a mix of the Nubian, the Boer and the native. A 3-way cross. To me, that's the ideal meat goat. Because one, him have the fast growth rate from the Boer with the muscle and the bone structure. Him have the milking potential of the Nubian to feed that kid, and him have the hardiness of the native animal to survive and withstand the worm pressure. The 3-cross, the native. So a 3-cross animal. So if you want to buy your animal, Mr. Bernard says start with the native. But what you're going to buy as your meal to jump the native? Which one you like choose first? The Nubian or the Boer?
The Nubian.
You would choose the Nubian. You would choose the Nubian too? Who would choose the Boer first? Nobody? So we choose the Nubian first. Because we want more milk.
That's correct.
Right? The first thing we want to solve is the milk problem with the native animals. So we add more milk genetics.
Well, it's not solve the problem because you have a bigger animal. Because those, I see these natives feeding all 4 kids and do well enough. But remember, the milk is not that much. So when you go to a graded animal, a bigger animal, you want more milk production to be able to sustain that animal. And then you can go to the Boer after.
And then you go to the Boer after now to start.
To get the size.
To get the muscle in more anything. Because the Nubian pass on size enough. The Nubian give you a long body length and long body legs.
And tall legs.
Tall legs.
Yeah.
So the Boer now is now to pack the muscles.
Give you the muscle
around the bones. We call it now. The whole aim. The same Small Ruminant Association came up with a plan from 2010. That was their plan. Introduce these new exotic breeds to take time to change what you call the meat to bone ratio. Because our natives, them are bone we are eating all the time. But once you put on the other, and then we start to get more muscle. That is what is important.
But the Boer, isn't the Boer too big for the native?
That's why we said got the Nubian.
That's why we say put them to the Nubian first.
And not just Nubian, because we have alpine breeds here in Jamaica. You can gradually go up, you know. You don't have to go to a purebred. You can go to a Alpine or the Sani is here now. We had La Mancha one time too. I see 1 and 2 of those breeds around. Yeah, them have them around. And the tagging bird. Sometimes I go in some place and see the tagging bird. The tagging bird is these short and them have this thumper look and they have these big nice udder with a lot of milk.
The ears, small ears.
Right. So you have the tagging bird. You have all these milk breeds that are actually here. Some of these native goats have this tagging bird and alpine in them too.
Make we talk about that and. Let us not. It's true. I think we're at a point right now where, when selecting native goats, the native goat is a mix of everybody.
Yeah, man.
So
Over the years.
You can look into that native goat and say, hey, this native goat come from an alpine.
Yeah.
Or come from a tagging bird.
Yes.
So you can look and identify which one you think this animal would have. You see certain features, alpine mixed from a long time,
man.
highly likely in carrying good milk.
The original was like, I think, the Spanish goat.
The Spanish goat, like over time, just
all kind of things happen.
in probably the next 10 years, the native goat not going to have no small ears again.
No, it will change.
The native goat will start having long ears because we have breed that out of the native goat by putting them onto the Nubian and putting on them to the board. So things going to change. My kids are so going, these are the ones they come say a different looking native goat. Color might change, like the white and the one brown. That's what we keep doing to the we call adaptive genetics. But it's the most important genetics we have on the island. So let us not throw it away. We could keep the natives and use the exotic breeds to build them up.
Okay, one more question before you go. Okay, literature. What kind of literature can we go to as new farmers to see? Okay, I know YouTube is that thing. Is there any basic literature that we can start?
Both Khalil and I have a YouTube channel, and we do all of these training.
Okay,
and also to just speak for Khalil, also these materials that he has here. I'm just talking for him, I'm going to make it available to you. So I put him on the spot here now. He have to make it available to you. This class is going to be available. All the literature he has, he's going to make it available to you. Right, just ask. And
man.
So just YouTube, you will have to go.
Well, yes.
Is there any written thing?
That's what I'm saying. Yes, he has the
tons of literature for you.
And he can email all of this literature to you. He has done a lot of research on all the grasses and all the forages and the silage and all of this literature.
I will share
we are at level 1.
At level 1.
He's going to share them with you.
No doubt.
Access to it.
What you got to do, you guys forget to RADA.
Yes.
RADA have tons of information that you guys can easily get. And for me personally, RADA package their own a little bit more farmer friendly. So to get information from them, I'm going to run through a record keeping thing that is RADA based.
Right.
Ask them also for information. But I am willing to give you all the information I possibly get to share with everybody. And if you guys want me to come every week, come talk, you come every week, come talk. No problem with that. But
you're still in hyper.
Yeah, man, but we're still hyper. You know hyper we are talking about. Alright, we'll finish this quickly. We need some things to drive success, and it's you as a farmers is the only way we can make this thing successful. If we want the private man to take it over, we're going to get left. So make it work. We need more data-driven culture. That's why we're going to talk about record keeping later. Because if you guys can keep the right data, collect the right information, feed that to the association, feed that to a person like me, we can translate that into anything that we want. We can turn that into a drive for you to push to import more females, a drive for you to get funding. That's how it works. Data-driven. We also need to know how to utilize our local feed resources properly. We went a little bit through that, the different grasses, the different types of grasses and how we use them. And then how is it that we're going to use the hyper-concentrate and mineral supplementation program so that it don't cost you too much, but you got the benefits out of using hyper as your feed supplier. So that's the end of this nutrition presentation. I've been asked to quickly run through record keeping presentation with you guys. So
let me do my count. Talk while you look at it. Alright, so record keeping is something that all farmers overlook. we overlook record keeping, and it is such an important aspect of what needs to be discussed, and that you have to do this record keeping thing. I'm going to go to a rabbit farm that I visited. I visited a rabbit farmer recently, really concentrate on record keeping. And what happens when you do record keeping? You are able to know, for example, look at which buck is producing the greatest growth rate. You know, rabbit breed like pigs, and they are able to weigh the animals. They weigh the animals every week, by the month, and at 3 months they see the growth rate from this animal. So they put a buck to, you know, maybe 10 does, and they put another buck to another 10 does, and they have over 100 rabbits, and they put them out and do the records of the weight gains. Now they can look and see that rabbit A is putting on, say, 1 pound a week. Rabbit B is doing 1 1/4 pound a week. Now you are able to make selections now and see which buck is the best buck to put on that meat onto that animal. And it's only by record keeping you can do this. You are able to look at your genetics and select the best animals to move your program forward. Because sometimes you can have an animal, maybe you breed and you get 5 of a ram, or you know, so forth, from a certain ram, and you don't know what you have. How will you know what you have if you don't do record keeping? You can't know. Then you start with the breeding, and you start to do inbreeding, and you know, you don't know who belongs to who. You're going to sell some animals, and you want to sell a ram and a female from your herd. You're not sure if that ram is related to this female, because you don't really want to keep inbreeding sister and brother and, you know, all these kind of things. Record keeping is such an important aspect of things. You ready now, Khalil?
Yeah, ready.
Right. So it is very important that you pay attention to record keeping, because most of us don't do it. I don't even do it myself, which is not even good. Alright, I'm telling you the truth. But it is absolutely important, because that is the only way you are going to know exactly what you have inside this herd. Sometimes we have an animal, you know, like you might have an animal that is, you have to worm them all the time. They are always sick. Where is that sickness coming from? You don't know. You know, how you're going to know? Maybe that sickness could be coming from a certain ram that you're using, right? I have seen that situation. I had some, you know, those things are things. Another thing with record keeping is sheep. When I went up to the pen up there, all the sheep up there only had 1 lamb. You know something? The sheep in Jamaica are genetically linked to having 1 lamb over the years. This is my opinion. Because every time we make a selection of rams in the sheep herd, we always selecting the biggest and the prettiest ram, which is not necessarily the best animal. You must always choose ram that come from double or triple births, because that is genetically linked. And what has happened over the years is that the sheep that we have here, I noticed, if you notice it, Khalil, most of the darker breeds and those breeds are only having 1 lamb, 1 drop. You have to go to the Catardin and the black belly side of things to be getting the twinning and getting more production. And that's the thing with the native goat. Native goat always having 2, 3 animals, sometimes all 4 or 5. And that's what I like about them. Even though you're seeing these bigger size with the boar and the other breeds, but the natives have more kids. So your meat production almost will balance out at times.
So your best bet is the local.
To start with the local. Start with the naked. And then when you're selecting a ram, never ever take a ram because it's big and pretty and look nice from a single birth. Always take your ram from twinning or triplets or something like that. That is my opinion. Because that genetical single birth thing can be passed in your herd. And remember, you're talking about production. You want to have more kids on the ground, right? And that's why it's important. You want more kids on the ground, and you want more milk, and you want to be able to put on the weight.
All right.
We've been sitting for quite a while, you know. Maybe we need to do some stretching.
Yeah, man, we can make we do out.
You soon get lunch, don't worry.
Yes. Lunch next, yes.
If you want to stand it.
Record keeping is how long, Khalil?
No, this record keeping will be very short because it's not my presentation. But if you guys want to stretch a little, we don't have a problem. Make we stretch it, you know. Come on, everybody get up, make we stretch. You can use your hands. You have the book, sir. Yeah, stretch out all the laziness. Give thanks and praises. We're not right now? Okay. I know I want more stretch. No. Alright.
Want something sweet to drink.
Alright.
Spoon.
Me need Papa for getting juice now. Remember I tell you about the different nutritional stages? This time now is to eat. Alright.
Exactly, sir.
Alright, come. Let me quickly go through record keeping. Mr. Bernard give a lovely introduction about the importance of record keeping. And I'm going to challenge every farmer today, especially if you're a farmer, it don't matter if you're a goat farmer, chicken farmer, whatever farmer you guys, just please keep some farmer record. Have a little book. And I don't want you guys to have it in your brain. Let me challenge you now. Alright. Repeat?
They don't crossbreed.
They don't crossbreed. Why you keep records? Can't remember. Why you keep records, Papa?
A lot of things. All of the above.
All of the above. Round the back.
You get
Heel. Why you keep records? Make sure you're on the right track. I'm glad I get to know. So, alright. But see the biggest, you know why I keep my records? To facilitate a bank loan. That is why I keep my records. Because enough time you want a little money, and I can't go to my mother for money, you know. So me have to go to the bank and say, bank, see my records here. Last month, my farm make a little money. So, no one can match this, give me. But this is what the record allows. It allows me as a nutritionist to come in, and your vet to come in, and kind of give a better understanding. You are telling me, say, this is what happened. The records can prove it. Alright? How we keep a record? So you keep yours, boss man?
In a book on my phone.
Alright, so he's using basically the two systems. You can either have a paper base, create a little record keeping book, or you guys can use a computer base. Which program you know on the computer can make you keep records?
Excel.
Excel. Anybody else know an next one? Words, perfect too. Word and Excel in combination. Good record keeping softwares. Requirements. What are the requirements? It must be accurate, have to be useful. The whole plan is have to take up your time to keep the records. It's supposed to make your life a little bit better. And what are the records you keep? What kind of records you keep on your farm? Be specific.
Well, I take a picture of my animal pertaining to theft.
Okay. So for security reasons.
Security. We look at tagging where we number them. So
Identification. Okay.
And identify so we can prevent inbreeding and all of those things.
Alright.
And also, so when we look at vaccine and all of that.
So it name it out. Herd health. It's one of the reasons why I'm keeping records. Which animal was vaccinated, which animal was dewormed. Right? And keep it for the production records. How much weight this animal gained, or when I slaughter the animal, what was it that I was giving to the butcher or to whatever client. To know what we're doing. And then we have a financial records. Who keep financial records? You keep financial records for your farm? Who else have farm that keep financial records? How much money you spend? Nobody? I'm not serious about farming then, man.
spend it off.
Who track how much money them spend on them farm? Nobody not track that. Miss Clark, brother, you not track how much money you spend? Yes, I like when you don't have money. You just spend money while you like that. Come on, farmers, we have to take this thing serious. You see, in business, if you're not accounting for what you're doing, you waste your time. Stop take this goat rearing thing like it's a dolly house thing. A serious business. It's a serious business. And if you don't want, make Mark and Sybil plan, and I will take it to some of the lead farmers and show you how they make money out of goat rearing. And you might be frightened to say that the man really make half a little goat. That little goat there, you will frightened to see. Come, take it serious, guys. Keep your financial records. Some other records, cash, they will not waste the time. But this is what I want you guys to look into. The health records, so we want to look at the mortalities, your mating records, who service who, lambing and killing records, what birth weight, when the animal was born, Milk production for who doing milk. How much milk that one animal produce. Growth by 6. For me, I tell farmers, birth weight, weaning weight, yearling weight, important. And I will tell you why. And then your inventory. What's it you have on the farm? So Bernard talked about selection earlier. He was saying that the rabbit farmers know which are which buck to do. This is what this record keeping do for you. In animal breeding and selection, you have what you call performance testing. Yes, father? Your father? Alright. So in a case like that, we have sir as the male compared to me. And they want to know which one of these males they want to use on the farm. You know what they use to judge? The kids. And you call that progeny testing. So how his son perform compared to how my son perform, and even how his daughters perform compared to my daughters is what we use to determine who we're going to put on record. So if his son clearly smart, he know everything, keep him records, he could remember my name so good, trace and cognitive development is up there, we'd highly likely select him to be the father because his son is performing 10 times better. That is what you guys need to do. You might have heard with 3 or 4 males run up and down, you should test which one perform better. The birth weight of this offspring better, the weaning weight, their yearling weight. You use all of those factors to basically help with your selection process.
There's one other very, very important thing, and that is problems with an animal.
Alright. Well said.
Can't leave that out. And that is so important. And I said it earlier on in terms of probably sicknesses and so forth. But sometimes you know that you see the goat then with the knock knee, or you see the back leg wide out, or you know, in foot is too posty like, you know, in terms of a ram selection, and you know, these falls in a goat is things that you also have to look at, you know, the levelness of the back and the croup and different things about the animal. So you have to look at the kids that are being produced from these animals and see the imperfection. There's no perfect goat, there's no perfect sheep or goat, but you have to look at these things. Maybe you might produce some kids and when you check on it, boy, you know, so none of these kids that born, they're now kidding down now. This is long time after, you know. But I noticed that they don't really have much milk. They're not able to nurse the kids that they are having because they don't have much milk. It can be even personality too, you know. You have some mothers that them no business with them pick them now feed them and them now take care of them properly. Some of these things are genetically linked. But when you do record keeping, you can look at all of these statistics. You see how much statistics you can look at with record keeping? That's why it is so important.
So see example of record keeping here for the female. And you were talking about twins also earlier. So for example, this is like a door record. And you know what is a door? Who used to watch on TVJ the sounds of music? Who know that? Do a deer, a female deer? Remember that song? Do a deer, a female deer. Alright, but it's not a deer. It's a goat, a female goat. So do a goat, a female goat. Alright, so here we have it. Here we have the breed. The animal numbers, what is important. Later we'll do an ear tagging demonstration so you guys can do it. So when we have a little record keeping book, and we tag the animal, we write in say, alright, we tag the animal 309. Then we look and says, what breed of animal? Animal is a Nubian, so we put in the Nubian. It was a mature animal, so we want to know when she basically go out. Some people say take ram, we call it servicing. So when the animal got served on the 10th, and then when we expect the animal to kid, we can have one that's the expected kidding date or the actual kidding date. Then the kidding type, was it a single, was it a twin, or was it a triplet? And then other comments, if an animal died or whatever you want right there, you're right here. So this information is what I love to see your farmers collect, especially for your females. Because this help guide you who you're going to keep in your herd. That's what this record help you with. So that's an example of a doe. This is kidding record. So the kids them look now a little bit different. You want the birth date, then you want the ID for both the male and the female. So you know the mother and the father, the sex, the birth type, the birth weight. No matter about the birth weight, the weaning weight. Who know what weaning weight is before I go? What is weaning weight? when them stop suck milk, you have a specific weaning date for your animals then? You just allow them. So when them 7 months, 6 months, them still a suck breast same way. I mean, I go find enough farmers that, you know, big animal a suck breast same way, you know. That cannot work. Between 2.5 to 3 months, maximum 4 months, maximum. But between 3 months, you should start removing that offspring from the mother. Remember, if you're in a commercial operation, if you know that, you're not making no money. It's because we're just around 50, 20 odd goats now. We can't allow that to happen. But if you're in a commercial operation, you lose. So, we need to wait. So by the 3rd month, we want the weight, and then the final weight. The kid ID and the breed. So simple ways for us to keep record. You can use on your stuff, on your laptop, on your phone. Make a quickly go through some health record. So if an animal come down sick, Khalil come down sick. What's wrong with Khalil? Him have diarrhea. Something wrong with him. Call the vet. The vet say, alright, you know, this diarrhea don't seem like him have a nutritional problem. It probably a cause from worms. So guess what? We're going to give him some Panacure. And we give him 4 ml of Panacure. And we give it 1. You see so detailed this is? So when I come on your farm to check, what happened to your animal? See it here, this is what happen. I can come and your rod officer can come and say, okay, hyper pass through, and then give your animal 1 Panacure. Let me call and see if you need a follow-up dosage or something. So please guys, this is like it telling you a story. And it helps you make farm decisions. And that's what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, this is what we call a normal distribution curve. Younger kids in the soul learn about it when they go high school. We want to do our selection to keep this within here. If you're not selecting properly, you always have animals at the lower limits. Our selection can improve us to keep animals always within this, the ideal part. This is what the record allows you to do.
The thing is, you see when you go to a farm that do proper record keeping, when you're buying those animals, you know exactly what you're buying. You can know exactly what you're buying because you have the history of the animal.
Alright. So with record keeping, what's important is how is it that we identify the animal? Because all the goats look the same sometimes. So you have different methods to identify them. And we're going to go through that today. We're going to do that very simple one. We're going to do ear tagging. You guys know about ear tagging, right? Who will never see this yet? Everybody see this already, right? Who will never see it, put up them hand? Alright. We can't just, well, forget COVID time, we can't share stuff like that anymore. But this is the applicator. And these are the tags. So we'll do the practical session later. I'll show you how to load it up and how we do the earring. It's like you give them an earring with a number. And you have different ways. This is ear tagging. You have one with them called ear notching, when they basically clip off some of the skin off of the animal, like have a specific code. Or you can use a tattoo, which is like the same tattoo that we humans have, but a little bit different, where you clip the ID number into the ears, or sometimes even on the side here, or on the tail. Then you have freeze branding, because we stopped use hot branding. Hot branding was back in the days a horrible thing. So they use no freeze branding where liquid nitrogen and they put it. They must those cows with the mark. They do that also for small ruminants. But some people think it's a little bit too inhumane. But that's it. We're going to do this later with alcohol, clean the ears. This is the tattoo. It's the tattoo we're going to get at Hyper store. A little bit more complicated because you have to keep changing these. You have to buy these and you have to keep changing the number. So if you want to say 101, you have to basically put it in 101, 102 or whatever.
What's the simplest one?
The simplest one is this. But the issue what I have with this is that even after this, you still have to take care of the ears. For some farmers who don't look at the ears start to rot. So it works together. You clean the area when you do it. I normally say farmers put a little Ectoline on it to prevent the flies, or put a little wound pole on it to kind of make it heal quicker.
The goat sometimes hold on to it and rip it out the ear.
Now that's our next big thing. When them flashing and the next one pick it out.
So you have dry it out and
you have farm with serious ear problems sometimes, which is something that we have to look into.
So maybe the tattoo would be better.
To me personally, I like the tattoo. Why? For security reasons. A man can easily cut this off for your goat ears or take it out. The tattoo, I can put it in a place on that goat. Once me come from your farm, me know where I must go find my tattoo. And I've seen that before, where when I was working at Boodles, they stole some animals. The police call and say, hey, come. We find the animals then, but we need identification method. When we went down there, all Boodles tags were out, because we used to have this yellow tag with specific numbers. So all we do was say, don't worry about that. Go in the ears and flick it up. I will go at the tail, we would sometime put it. And that was our tattoo right there, so we could identify the animal. So it's a little bit more discreet than this. A little bit more discreet than this. And this is why the branding to sometimes hurt, because it's always on the skin. But it's a little bit inhumane. As in, I don't really recommend that anymore. But that's tattoo would look. See it like that? In the ears. But the issue with it sometimes the ink sometimes wear out. So you have to constantly put back the ink inside. But if you're doing an animal that's going to be on your farm for 2-3 years, then it works for you. It's like a fattening animal, works. And it's very easy to do. So we'll do this later. You have everybody here today. You have RADA, you have Ministry, you have Hypro, and you have the Veterinary Services Division. They play a very important role in livestock animal health. So she wants to talk to you guys a little bit. Come.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Naima Bandu from the Veterinary Services Division. I am working in the capacity of a AI technician. It's an artificial insemination technician, as well as an animal health technician. So I don't know if any of you are aware of what the Veterinary Services Division is or what they do. Is there anybody that...
Of Jamaica or of
Jamaica.
Is this a government?
It's a government arm of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, yes. But does anybody know what they do? Alright, nobody knows. Alright, so that's one of the biggest manifestos that we have. Alright, so basically, as Khalil was saying to you just now, that we are here to safeguard the health and welfare of our animals, trying to prevent exotic diseases from entering the country. We safeguard our borders, as well as food safety being one of our biggest things. And speaking about food safety, I want to formally say that I am the officer that's responsible for your cattle tagging in the area. So if there's anybody here that has cattle that need to be tagged to meet the January deadline, now would be the perfect time, well, after, to speak to me regarding that. But basically, I am responsible for your area, most of the St.Catherine area, with regards to welfare and health and disease surveillance and anything of that that much. I am responsible for that. Luckily, I was invited here today, and so I can cover that aspect of it today. So anything with regards to your health of animals, welfare, you can contact me. We are located at the RADA office. I don't know if any of you know where the RADA office is, or you should. Our building is directly across from the RADA office. It's a little dilapidated now, but we're working to have that fixed up so you can come in just the way you would go to approach a RADA officer. We will have office hours where you can come in and you can speak to me with regards to health and welfare of your animal.
Alright guys, remember the tagging in your cattle thing very important. So we all have cow, tag on animal them before the government come in and so we got the RADA record keeping handbook. We'll use it a little bit later. So Mr. Bernard just kind of showing you guys what it look like. All farmers should get one of these to keep your records. Easier for us to come in here, RADA office to come in and kind of verify. I'm sure that this tagging thing for cattle so rich goat. Probably not this year, probably next year, some year down the line. This is what will allow us as farmers to be better prepared than the cow farmers.
It has, if you're looking at it, it says goat record keeping. So that RADA actually did something for us as goat and sheep farmers. Same book would use. Have name and all the information here. And a lot of the things, it has different, all the information. A lot of those, some of those stuff you saw Khalil doing there.
Yes, this is a RADA presentation from Miss Brown, Maxine Brown.
Right, she's the livestock officer.
Yes.
So this information he showed here is in this book. You were asking where we can get this information. It's all inside this book. And you know, all the things he was talking
The
about,
ID,
you know, the
yes.
ID, the breed, the date, the kidding date, type, comments, all of that is inside this book. A very, very good book and things. So when you get this book, it has everything. It has lots of pages in there, you know. It's really very good. And all of this information is there.
I want to introduce you to Mr. Witter,
Mr. Witter,
who I think is the crops livestock officer, the crops officer for the area. But
right.
he represents RADA same here, so I guess he can bring some greetings from RADA.
Right. And remember, crops is a part of goat rearing too, because our, you know, our mulberry and how to plant the grass, and you know, people try to leave out this goat thing and don't realize that half of it is all of this planting material. So,
hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Knoxfield Witter, Assistant Extension Officer for the Akazal area. So my office is based in Linstead for now. My number is for all the farmers that are planting crops. You can call me. Now and then rather we'll have fertilizer, seed to give the farmers. If you have trouble with your crops like pest infestation or any disease, fungal, you can contact the RADA office.